This is a presentation about the themes and literary elements in the Kabuila by Rabindranath Tagore. Who was Rabindranath Tagore? Born in 1861, he was a Bengali poet, scholar, and philosopher, among many other brilliant qualities. His writing reached from short stories and novels to poetry and plays. In 1913, he was the first non European to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, quote, because of his profoundly sensitive, fresh, and beautiful verse by which, with consummate skill, he has made his poetic thought, expressed in his own English words, a part of the literature of the West. The story The Kabuila was written by the Bengali author Tagore in the year of 1862. This short story is a beautiful tale that follows a budding friendship between the author's little girl named Minnie and a traveling Afghani street peddler. This story brings together two unlikely people as friends who can crack jokes with each other and enjoy their little time spent together. Their friendship, like all relationships in life, is tested when the street peddler is thrown into jail for many years, while the little girl grows up and forgets about him. This story explores a handful of different themes and spreads an important message to its readers. What can we learn from this story? Different arguments could be made for the messages that Tagore was trying to get across, but in my opinion, the most prevalent message told by this story is the importance in empathy and compassion towards another person. An example of this message in the story would be when the author finds his daughter and the Kabuila laughing together after initially meeting. One morning, however, not many days later, as I was leaving the house, I was startled to find Minnie, seated on a bench near the door, laughing and talking with the great Kabuila at her feet. In all her life, it appeared, my small daughter had never found so patient a listener, save her father, and already the corner of her little sari was stuffed with almonds and raisins, the gift of her visitor. Previously, the little girl was afraid of the peddler man, but with some compassion and understanding from the Kabuyula, she was able to warm up to him and a friendship was formed between them. The Kabuyula took the time to empathize with the little girl and realized that she might be scared by a stranger, so he found ways to make her comfortable by listening to her, bringing her gifts, and making her laugh. Another quote depicting the importance of empathy and understanding would be when the author describes how the peddler man makes time out of his busy schedule to see Minnie. This year, however, he could always find time to come and see Minnie. It would have seemed to an outsider that there was some conspiracy between the two, for when he could not come in the morning, he would appear in the evening. Even to me, it was a little startling now and then, in the corner of a dark room, suddenly to surprise this tall, loose garmented, much bebagged man. But when Minnie would run in smiling with her, oh, Cabuela, and the two friends, so far apart in age, would subside into their old laughter and their old jokes, I felt reassured. In this quote, while others may have seen something sinister in their relationship, the author uses his compassion and his own empathy to be understanding and supportive towards his daughter and this peddler's friendship. The last quote I will use to convey this message is found at the end of the story, when the peddler is released from prison and many years have passed. This touch of his own little daughter had always been on his heart, as he had come year after year to Calcutta to sell his wares in the streets. Tears came to my eyes. I forgot that he was a poor Kabuli fruit seller, while I was. But no, what was I more than he? He also was a father. That impression of the hand of his little Parbati in her distant mountain home reminded me of my own little Minnie. I sent for Minnie immediately from the inner apartment. At first, the author was going to turn away the peddler, but using his own compassion and empathy towards him, he agrees to let him see his old friend Minnie. Some literary elements used in the story. The first one would be imagery. There are many examples of imagery found throughout the story. One specific example being, in the presence of this Cabuilla, I was immediately transported to the foot of arid mountain peaks, with narrow little defiles twisting in and out amongst their towering heights. I could see the string of camels bearing the merchandise, and the company of turbaned merchants carrying some their queer old firearms, and some their spears, journeying downward towards the plains. The use of descriptive words by the author paints a picture of what the scene he is describing should look like in our minds. The second literary element found in this story is symbolism. The use of symbolism is seen a bit, but a good example would be the Cabuilla had overcome the child's first terror by a judicious bribery of nuts and almonds, and the two were now great friends. The nuts and almonds serve as a symbol of love and friendship towards the little girl. They are a way to show Minnie that the peddler is no one to be scared of, and he only has good and genuine intentions. They also serve as a symbol of the peddler man's kindness towards others. Another literary element used in this short story is the subtle use of irony. All at once, I heard an uproar in the street, and looking out, saw Ramon being led away, bound between two policemen, and behind them a crowd of curious boys. There were blood-stained clothes there were blood stains on the clothes of the cabulla, and one of the policemen carried a knife. Hurrying out, I stopped them and inquired what it all meant. On a charge of murderous assault, Ramon was sentenced to some years' imprisonment. For him to be arrested, charged, and sent to a prison for a violent crime is ironic, seeing as how readers we would not expect that of him, as we've only seen kindness from him so far. The last example of a literary element found within the story is a metaphor. The man's face fell. He looked wistfully at me for a moment, then said, "Good morning," and went out. This is an example of a metaphor because although the man's face did not actually fall, this just means he was disappointed and sad, and it was shown through his facial expressions. The relevance of Tagore's message. The Kabuyla may not be from this time period, but it is loved by many readers throughout all time periods since it was written. This story is widely loved and revered because it touches upon themes that resonate with all humans. The story explores the themes of human connection and relationships in a heartwarming and eventually heartbreaking way. The story takes two unlikely people with not much in common and really shows the beautiful friendship between the two. This may resonate with some people for the same reason that it resonated with me. Anybody who has a friendship or relationship with someone who is a different age than you may relate to this. True friendship and love can transcend most boundaries and differences. Sometimes the differences are what make the friendship so special. I have quite a few relationships in my life who I am not blood related to, yet I still consider them my family and still people I am friends with, even though we're not the same age or even of the same generation. It is important, in my opinion, to have various different friendships and relationships with people throughout your life because you learn and grow from every relationship and experience. The importance of exploring literary works. There are a plethora of different reasons as to why exploring literary works so closely is so important. Literary works have the ability to convey messages and address different topics or ideas on a much wider scale that may not be as well received had they not been within a work of literature. Looking closely in depth at literary works also helps us strengthen our critical thinking skills and hone our use of using context clues. Literature most oftentimes challenges readers to use different ways of thinking and opens people's minds to different perspectives other than their own. Literature can also be used to help grapple with and understand different ethical and moral issues. Exploring literary works in a deeper way can also provide different cultural insight and understanding on different backgrounds. Examining literary works from various religions, time periods, and cultural backgrounds can enrich your overall human experience by allowing you to gain a deeper understanding of the world around you and to truly appreciate the different cultures of the world. Thank you for listening.